You are live tonight with the Homeschool Journal, a show about the joys and journeys of the classical homeschool family. Here's your host, Carrie McGraw.
Oh my goodness, this is so exciting to be here tonight. I am so grateful to all of these friends that have stayed to listen to and share their joy-filled stories about homeschooling, because we all have many stories. Now, some of them may not be so joy-filled at times. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, we're laughing, right? Because as I said earlier this morning when I talked about, homeschooling with dignity, here in this live audience, I have one of my children, and I will not let him come up here and tell a story because it may not be so dignified. But truly, we have a variety of stories that we can all tell because we are all on a homeschool journey together. And that really is one of the biggest messages of Memoria Press, is that we are on this journey together. And so that's why being able to come here and share these stories together and listen to some particular women's stories who sent them in for me, that I'm going to call up here, and to place them in truly our homeschool journal here at Sodalitas. Everybody got one of these, right, for coming to Sodalitas, and to really, truly, I am placing these stories in here so that they can be shared with our staff as well. So we are going to start this evening. I'm going to call up our friend Elisabeth Cauley from South Carolina, to come and share with us her story. Elisabeth, come on up. How you doing? You
Good.
ready?
So excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. So, okay. Your story really touched me because I have a very similar story, and I won't tell it because yours is so beautiful, and I absolutely love the moment that you captured. So would you share that with us?
Absolutely. We have had so many joy-filled moments with homeschooling, but one that particularly stood out this year was studying astronomy with my third grader. And we had been working our way through it since August, and here we were in February, and admittedly, it was not my favorite subject to teach. He was picking it up really quickly, and I was just going through the lessons with him. But one evening, I was walking up the driveway later at night. It was dark, and I was coming back from getting the mail, and just right at the top of the driveway, I looked up, and there was Orion. And I could see it, and I had never seen it before. I had never found a constellation. I couldn't find the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper. And there it was, just right in the middle of just the sky, right in front of the driveway. And so I go flying in the house. Y'all have to come outside. Here's Orion. So everybody came outside. We got his little, book out and made all the kids find it. I made my husband find it. And it was just this moment of realizing that those 22 weeks of studying were worth it. And it was, the simple curriculum was drawing our eyes heavenward. And
Amen.
We would have missed the beauty.
That's right.
Of the constellations.
That you live underneath
Yes.
every single
Yes.
day. But that realization, that moment of where they
Absolutely.
connected God's creation to
With
all
what they
that
were
they,
studying.
with what they were
Yeah.
studying.
was
Absolutely. Elisabeth, that's beautiful. Because we had almost an exact, situation where we went on a camping trip. And it was the same thing. It was finding all those constellations. And they were young. Isn't that the amazing thing, is how young they are, and you see that moment when it just clicks. It just happens. Yeah. So Elisabeth, thank you very much.
Thanks
I love
for
your
having me.
story. Everybody say thanks to Elisabeth. Now, we're here. In case this our audience is listening, we are here at Sodalitas. We've said this is our first live audience recording. We've never done this before, and Sodalitas, is Latin for gathering, and it has been just a beautiful gathering for me because, this is the first time I've gotten to be here in person. And so to watch today, so many people come together that have been together before, and come together again after the a year, right? We're not going to name that year, right? But for me to get to meet everyone in person at this beautiful gathering and now share stories, and I got to read the stories ahead of time. So that was kind of selfish of me, but I'm grateful to those who were able to submit those stories. So I'm going to call up Katie next, who is going to come and share her story. Katie's from Connecticut. So Katie, come on up, hon. So, Katie, I don't want to reveal too much about your story, but I do want to tell everyone you're a first. You came into homeschooling. This is new.
I'm a COVID homeschooler.
You are a COVID homeschooler. I hadn't used that term, but that's really good.
That's what everybody's like. When did you start? I said COVID. And they're like, oh, okay.
And then you got the
and I'm like, yay, it's okay.
So while Elisabeth and so many others that are here with us, there's experience behind them, there's years behind them. This is fresh.
Oh, yes. Very fresh. So I latch on to people. They're probably like, enough, Katie. I'm like, tell me everything. The secrets. Tell me everything, so.
And we're homeschoolers. We want to tell you everything.
I need to know from the pros. I'm a novice. I'm not sure what I'm really doing. We're winging it, but
Well, so y'all heard it here. Y'all can grab Katie afterwards and
impart your wisdom.
Yes, she'll hang with you. So Katie, tell us your homeschool story.
Okay, so COVID happened, and my son was in the middle of kindergarten, and we went virtual, and it was, I'm trying to think of a polite way to put this. It was a disaster. Unfortunately, trying to round up 20 kindergartners on Zoom, it doesn't work. So I was like, I'm just going to do my own thing, and we loved it. He thrived with the one-on-one. I only have 2, so I'm starting off easy.
No, wait, stop. Don't say only. Don't ever say that.
Well, I just mean I'm starting off easy, only one at a time. Okay. So, and so the past year we've been, figuring it out, and we were using a Charlotte Mason method curriculum because, there's about 1,500 curriculums out there, so you can get overwhelmed. And I was like, I feel like we're missing something. I just didn't feel like what we were doing was enough, and I found, I don't know if, is there copyright? There was a website that sells homeschool things.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say the name of it, but it's a homeschool website, and I purchased Memoria Press from there.
Okay.
And I was like, this is really nice. And then I went and got something else. And then I was like, they have a website. And then I was gone from there. So it was a deep dive. That's it. Everything in the cart. Even more just now. And so we've just been kind of piecemeal because we haven't gone in the full curriculum yet. We're going to be doing that in the fall.
Sure.
But we've been doing a lot of cursive. And I guess my joy-filled story was the other day. My son gets up early. We have a rule. You don't leave the room. You can hang out, read, or do something. So I come in when it's time to get up, and he's writing. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm making a cursive book for my sister. Oh. Because he loved it so much, he wanted to make one for, I know, I'm getting a little choked up. He wanted to make one for her so she would love it just as much as he does.
Oh my
goodness. So that right there, if Memoria hadn't already sold me, it sold me right there.
Well, now we're going to have to recount that story tomorrow or sometime that we can get Mrs. Hatfield, who has been
the cutest.
Is she
oh
not?
My goodness.
Is she not? And she was on the podcast earlier this year.
Yes.
But she needs to hear your story too. So either if we don't get you with her, we'll have her watch this when it comes out for sure.
I would love to.
For sure. Yeah. Katie, you know what? I just want to tell you, I admire everyone that has been in there, that is in your shoes, that has been in your shoes, everyone that has had to make that sudden choice that maybe it wasn't one that you thought was coming, right? Did any of us think it was coming? And maybe it wasn't one that was even on the horizon, but for a parent like you to jump in full bore, both feet, and just say, I'm going to take care of my kids. This is my charge. I am really amazed by people like you. So Katie, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
They say God works in mysterious ways, so.
He does, doesn't he? Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to take a moment and kind of recount. One of the things Katie talked about was the experienced homeschoolers. And I know that we have many with us, and we have many that are like in Katie's shoes. So this is perfect. Katie, you didn't know it, but you were like the perfect segue to an experienced homeschooler, Susan, who has her own unique story that she's going to share with us. Susan, come on up. And Susan is from Maine. Beautiful Maine. Yes. Right? Maine is absolutely beautiful. So Susan, you have a really unique perspective that I asked you to share, or that you shared with me first, okay? But that I really wanted you to come and share with others because your journey has been long. I call us experienced, right? Okay, she winked at me. But go ahead, tell us about your journey.
Well, what Katie said is a great segue in the sense of what you said as far as not knowing what would be on the horizon. Because when I was converted to classical homeschool, as we all are,
yes.
I knew that I needed to teach my kids Latin. And so I got 3 Latin curricula side by side. And there was Latina Christiana. And it rang true to me. It made sense to me. And so I said, okay, this is what we're going with. I did not know Latin. I had sung in Latin. I was a trained vocalist, so I had sung in Latin, but I didn't know what I was singing other than being able to pronounce it. And so I'm doing amo, amas, amat with my kids. And that began something that I never in a million years expected, because now I'm an online Latin teacher for Memoria Press Online Academy. So watch what you pick up. I never saw it coming, but it was, I found something that brought definition to my life. It inspired my children. And it's also sparked now that we teach adult Latin classes online. And that was the seed of that was remembering I was that mom. I needed someone to come alongside me. And so I said, okay, floated the idea. Let's see if we can go with this.
And just like our producer Bryce, which I think everyone got to meet at the beginning for the first time, like he said, earlier, which is, what we want to do here is make Memoria Press and classical education more accessible, right?
Yes.
In a sense, easier. I mean, homeschooling is not going to be easy, but it is going to be worth it. And that's exactly what you experienced, and so much so that she's now a teacher of adults, right? Of adults.
But I think my takeaway or your takeaway is that you can do this. You can do it. And as we have heard all day, we tend to sell ourselves short, think that we can't do things, and we can. And Memoria Press really gives us something very, very tangible to work with.
And that's exactly what we want people to take away from this as well, which is you can do it.
Yes.
This is, and Mrs. Lowe created and gave us a package that she wanted to make this very doable for families to resurrect, I call it resurrect, this education for families and save our children.
Yes.
And save our children in that manner. Susan, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So I have another friend that we're going to call up that I have had the blessing of working with several times, who has been on the podcast before. And again, another very unique story to tell, because she walks a line that not all of us have to walk, but some of us do, and we do it with dignity. And that is with children with some special needs. So Kelly, I'm looking at you. It is your turn. Come on up here, Kelly. Kelly is from Missouri. And so a power-packed mom. She's absolutely amazing. Kelly, come and join us. Thank you. All right, Kelly. So yours is kind of a 2-part story, right?
Yes.
Right? So I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay, so
I was under the impression this was a thank you. And so I first of all want to thank the Memoria Press Online Academy, because our story starts there with classical composition. My two oldest boys at college both were singled out for their writing skills at an awards banquet. And if you've ever been in the public education realm, you know that they find out you're a homeschooler, they want to kind of look at you and maybe even poke you to see what makes you tick.
Dear.
They wonder maybe you're a little crazy, maybe just the side of crazy for doing what you did. And so at this awards banquet, I actually was at the table with the English professor that chose both of my children different years for their writing to present their writing piece at this banquet. And so she finally asked me, after beating around the bush, what curriculum did you use? So I said Memoria Press Online Academy taught my children classical composition. I can't take credit for it, so thank you, Mrs. Johnson. And thank you, Mr. Maycock. And really, by the end of that night, I felt like that we had actually received that award as parents for doing the research, for deciding this was the curriculum that we wanted. The professor lamented that she didn't have enough students that could write logical, coherent, even sentences, let alone, an essay. So thank you, Memoria Press, for that.
And it is a sincere thank you, because see, here it is. This is the journal with your all stories that I am going to, take to those who are in the office so that they, if they don't get to watch the podcast, which maybe everybody that works here should be, I don't know. But if they don't get to do that, then they do get to read your all stories, penned from your own hand, or typed, I should say, from your own hand. So this is a thank you. But we can give thanks also by sharing, experiences here. Sure. And that's exactly what you're doing with us. So I'm going to let you keep going, though.
And the second part of our story has to do with classical composition. I also have a special needs son who we've tried 2 different writing programs before trying classical composition with him. And it was work to get him to even write one sentence, and without tears, without stomping off, without just refusal behaviors is what it's called in the world of special needs. And so I had just about given up all hope that this is the way it was going to be. I thought, I'll give classical composition a try. I didn't teach it to my first 2 boys, but I know all about it. We've talked about fables, and the beauty of classical composition is that it's based on good writing. And because we had studied fables, it also seemed like a friend, and it wasn't intimidating to my son who struggled with writing a sentence. And so we just kind of slowly worked our way through classical composition fable stage successfully, to the point where he was looking forward to reading what story would come next. And what appealed to him, and he loves writing, he wants to be a creative writer, okay? This is my son who would not write sentences, and he, in his free time, will type stories.
In his free time?
In his free time. So,
I wish, mine will not do that, okay?
No. So thank you again, Memoria Press, for helping that child write, because he just truly delights in it. And like I said, he looks forward to what are we going to read about next week. Well, in his case, next 2 weeks. So,
but there's 2 things here. Okay, the word delight, and that's really those are the moments, those moments of delight that just seal that joy in our hearts. Do you all ever get to a moment, whether it's in your homeschooling or parenting, where you just ask God to seal that moment in your heart? Because you could take a picture, you could make a video, but it's not the same. It's not the same when you are that parent watching their discovery or watching them delight in creative writing in their free time.
Yeah, who knows?
That is awesome.
Right.
That is absolutely awesome. Kelly, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm so grateful. Thank you. So here at Sodalitas, we have both in person this year and virtual. And so when I sent out, a request to those who had signed up for Sodalitas to send in their joy-filled homeschool stories, maybe sometime we'll do the crazy homeschool stories. We could make a home school podcast on that one, I'm sure. But I did get several that were virtual, but there's one that I do want to read to everyone that I have placed in the journal here. And this is from Jen O. out of Arkansas. And she says, "Oh my, where do I begin? We have used complete Memoria Press packages since 2014, and the celebratory stories are endless. So I will try to sum it up neatly. I placed our first order with hope and a prayer. From kindergarten to the present, the entire journey has been an answer to that prayer." Wouldn't y'all feel the same way? While we celebrate the Latin studies and translations, especially that gold medal for NLE, amen, you should celebrate that one, the descriptive compositions and long expositions and thoughtful discussions, and yes, even the algebraic equations, we celebrate most that today our children know the Lord through all of these things. It is remarkable. Memoria Press has been a vital ingredient to this, in that they have given us the tangible tools that we have needed in our home to implement and integrate truth in all studies and to create a culture of knowledge and curiosity that continually points us to Him, even when we didn't see it coming. Each author, editor, warehouse worker, speaker, and online academy teacher has been such a blessing to our family. All of these hearts and hands are people that have intentionally been placed in our lives. The impact is monumental, even eternal. Thank you, Memoria Press. And these are the things that I look forward to sharing with our Memoria Press staff here, for them to read stories. So I want to encourage everyone here, if you didn't submit a story, if you know others that you're going to see in the next few days, or you're going to come upon your own stories, discover your own stories in the next couple days, or when this podcast is published and put out in the fall, please send us your joy-filled stories. You can email me at any time, Carrie@memoriapress.com, and I will accept them with a happy and joy-filled heart. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today, for sharing your stories. Continue to share your stories with each other. Continue to lift each other up in this journey through homeschool and in your journey with Memoria Press. Thank you for being with us today. Thanks for joining us today. If you liked our episode, click the thumbs up button below or leave a comment to let us know what you thought. It always helps us to know if we've helped you. You can also click the bell icon and subscribe to the show so that you can stay in touch. Then I'd love for you to share it with a friend. We have many resources here on this channel, so I hope you'll check those out too. I'm Carrie McGraw. Thanks for listening today, and I'll see you next time.